Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. I have to be amazed every day that I can get up and highlight and share somebody amazing. And today we have Joe. Joe, you're a pirate already, and welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and sharing a little bit of inspiration, motivation, and maybe get some people to take some action on something. So how you been, man?
I'm doing all right. Russ. Thanks so much for asking. And thank you for inviting me to be on your show again, sir. I count it as a real joy and privilege to share the stage with you, even if it's virtual.
Well, once a pirate, always a pirate. So welcome to the
All
pirate
right.
crew. Anything you can do to help spread the word and, a little bit of kindness around the world. I just, anything, come aboard and help us out and make sure that you're here. So
Absolutely.
last time, you've been doing a lot of different things around, and you're actually, it sounds like you're getting back into the live speaking environment. You've been doing a lot of virtual speaking, and you share a lot of information with a lot of people. So for those that don't know you like we know you at the Pirate Broadcast, maybe you could give us a snapshot about what your focus is, what you like to speak on, and then I want to talk a little bit about motivation afterward.
Sure. Absolutely, Russ. Anything for a guy that allows me to be a pirate without having to walk the plank, matey. Right? Yes, indeed. So, the most popular topics that I speak on, one of them has to do with actionable data, essentially challenging people to rethink the way they do their reporting about data. Anybody can make a pretty bar graph, but does it help you to make a decision, answer a question, or solve a problem? If you can't do that, then you're wasting your time. So, in that particular presentation, I call it the beauty and brains of actionable data, since indeed our data is actionable only when it is able to balance art and science, art being the beauty and science being the brains, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and I guide people in best practices in getting from their concept, the idea that they've got about reporting, and the reality. What is it going to look like by the time they're finished? What kind of color schemes they should use, how the data needs to be presented accurately, how there should be transparency in the data reporting, and that sort of thing. So I enjoy talking about that. That is by far the most popular topic. The other one is a motivation, more of a motivational topic. It's called Facilitating Innovation in a Post-COVID-19 World. In that topic, once again, I like to challenge people, to, rather than being satisfied with the status quo, I challenge them to break out of their comfort zone, go the extra mile, and simply blow away the status quo. Mediocrity breeds stagnation. And stagnation, well, leads to death, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I believe that if I'm not innovating, I'm stagnating. And it's a challenge so that people will adopt a more innovative mindset, especially in the light of all the changes that have come about in our society due to COVID-19, all the pivoting that a lot of businesses have had to do to again rethink their strategy and refocus their attention and so forth. Whether it's in a business, whether it's in a programming strategy, whether it's in your own personal life, that type of challenge to be aware of changes that have come about, to meet them head on, to again, refuse to be satisfied with standing still and move over, rather than sitting back and letting things happen, be the kind of person that makes things happen. So I guide them through what I call a three-pronged approach in achieving that delicate balance and being able to move forward. I guess being able to tell the difference between the leading edge and the bleeding edge,
Yeah.
right? Being able to face those things head on, and not be defined by them, but rather rise above them and say, I will not be an antagonist to change. I will be a catalyst for change. And what are the principles involved in getting you to that point? That's what that particular topic is all about. There are other topics, other things I talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I
but
want
those
to
are the
go.
most popular.
I want to go back to the data because um, so many times we have this idea that intuition is a great thing. Follow your
Oh yeah,
intuition. However, there are times also, especially on social media, especially online, where the data tells us a different story.
hmm
And depending on what your goals are, data can absolutely provide you the most benefit and the feedback that you need, and also maybe motivate you to make some changes and some real life decisions. Because I know, with this show and 400 and plus episodes, I've evolved, and I don't necessarily look at all of the data. And my goal isn't necessarily to have millions of followers. I just want to make sure that I'm continuing to grow. I'm continuing to show up and be consistent and highlight people like yourself. And I know that if I dug into the data even more, I could probably unlock a few other little nuances that I could adjust along the way. And so, how does one have to think about uh, producing data,
sure.
gathering data, and making it make sense?
Absolutely. That's an excellent point that you bring up, Russ, because while people that have the business savvy, and know what they're doing, they know their business, they know their product line, they know their production sequence, they know what it is that they're doing, their emphasis, their mission, vision, goals, and so forth. They may not think of those pieces of information as data, but that's exactly what it is. It's data. They've got a good business savvy. They've got a good, as you said, the intuition. They want to go with their gut, right? But that gut, that intuition, that savvy needs to be informed, and it's informed by these pieces of information that I mentioned and that you have mentioned. And yeah, you have a general idea from the 10,000 foot level, right? An overall picture, which is great for managing your strategy. But it's also important um, not just to be so caught up on the strategic end of things that you forget the tactical end of things. And that's where getting into specific data points, digging into those details, um, will give you the insight that you need to be able to tease out the nuances, tease out the things. Okay, yeah, if I tweak this here, if I change that there, then it's going to improve my bottom line. It's going to increase my level of satisfaction among my customers, and that sort of thing. So part of it is learning to balance the specific and the general. Right, the
Yeah.
general gives you the overall view. The specific allows you to dig into the details and make tweaks along the way. I see it as, again, not only a blending of the general and the statistic, but all or specific. I see it also as a blending of strategic thinking with tactical thinking.
I love that. And I have tools where I gather data, and
Hmm
as long as the trend is moving up and to the right, I
Yes,
feel I
indeed.
feel pretty comfortable. It doesn't have to be hockey stick acceleration.
Right.
We all want this idea of
Boom.
viral, and I just think,
Right.
I love the statement that we underestimate how much, or we overestimate how much we can get done in a day, and we underestimate how much we can accomplish in a year. And
That's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
so we just have to stick to our process, improve it
hmm
incrementally, become better than
Right.
we were yesterday. And to me, that motivates me to get up every day and do the show. And it's this
Absolutely.
groove, it's this idea that we can accomplish something together. And people like yourself that are doing great work out there, speaking about it, teaching about it, sharing, information that's going to be valuable to the community. I just think it's an important mission, and I just continue to pursue it. So
Well, it is, right, because you see a need, right? And you know that you have the means to supply that need. And as you focus on those two aspects, right? The need of the person on the other end and the fact that you have what it takes to meet that need, transaction occurs. It's the same with knowledge. If you're an educator, you have the knowledge, and your student, your pupil, your audience, your whatever, they're the ones that have the need to receive the knowledge. So you're communicating that to them in a way that is visually compelling, in a way that is aesthetically pleasing, in a way that touches on all those pain points that they might have, that speaks to the need, that speaks to the gap, right? And you're filling in that gap, whether you're talking about selling cars or talking about whatever, I mean,
whatever it
that's
happens to be.
whatever it happens to be. That's right. That's where the transaction takes place. The exchange of knowledge, the exchange of goods and services, the exchange of ideas. You know, and you come out of it smelling like a rose because, of course, you met that need. And then the individual on the other side whose need has been satisfied, they're going to talk about it, which tends to snowball as you increase in your popularity and viralness, whatever the word is for that. Then that's what makes it all that.
Viralocity. I got maximum
Virality.
viralocity.
Right, exactly, and that motivates you to motivates you to do an even better job. You're doing it with passion, and you're going to communicate that passion. You're going to ignite that passion in the minds and hearts of the people that are on the other side of that stage, the other side of that screen, the other side of that, whatever the case might be. Whether you're doing it virtually in your show, or in my case, if I'm doing it virtually in a conference, or if I'm doing it in person. And that's the deal, I suppose, because in person, you get that body chemistry, you get the nuances, the inflections, the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And you can see, I want to be able to look into the eyes of my audience and see the lights come on. That's what gets my motor going, when I know that I've touched a nerve somewhere, that something that I have said, again, ignites some spark of thought or some spark of innovation within the individual on the other side of that room. And of course, that's a bit more challenging to gauge when you're in a virtual environment, right? Especially if you can't even see their faces.
Yeah.
I mean, with you and me, it's just two of us. We're just here. If it's maybe a half a dozen or so, then you got the Brady Bunch squares going there, right? Okay, so at least if you can see their faces, you can gauge some sort of a reaction.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, is that you want to be able to evoke some kind of response, hopefully a positive one,
Yeah.
to indicate that you have indeed met that need, you've addressed that concern, you've solved that problem, you have answered that question, whatever the case might be.
I love that, because every single time you show up, you have a choice. You can either show up in a positive way, or you can show up in a negative way.
That's
And
right.
for me, I like to show up in a positive way. And that doesn't mean that all my days are perfect. All my days are ideal. It just means that I'm going to choose to show up in a way that produces a positive outcome for the people around me. I don't want to be
Yeah.
miserable to be around. I want to give a shout out to Elise. Good morning, Russ, Joe, and all the pirates. Thank you so much. She's in from South Africa. She shows up, and I just love that she's here every day. Appreciate you. Wendy, another longtime pirate. Good morning, pirates. Joe, your energy is terrific for the pirate ship. Ahoy. Thank you so much. And also, she says, I always say, where there is a need, there is a seed.
Oh, that's an awesome way of looking at it. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
One
right.
of the original
Yeah.
pirates on board,
Yeah.
as well as Sherry Lolly. Good morning, Russ and Joe, pirate crew. Thank you so much for being here. Love you. Seema, We have an interesting IT acquisition project presence in 4 countries. Okay, selling your advertisement, showing up, selling your advertisement.
Yeah. But I
Well,
like what Wendy said about where there's a need, there's a seed. Exactly, the need
yeah,
is
expand on
there.
that.
Sure. Well, the need is there, right? And it gives you in my case a speaker, in your case as a podcast host and purveyor of knowledge, whatever it gives me the opportunity to plant another seed in the person who's wanting to listen, right? There's some germ of truth, if you will, in what I've said, and that seed has the opportunity to germinate and grow so that the knowledge can increase. And the person has a need, and it gives me the opportunity to plant another seed of knowledge to I guess if you're sowing acts of kindness, right? Even if I'm not, even taking it out of the speaking world, right? Putting it
Yeah.
into the practical realm, right? Someone else has a need. They have a need for encouragement. So what do you do? Do you go on and on about yourself? Or are you going to try to encourage that other person and place a seed of encouragement within them that can blossom into some positive thing that's going to improve their day? Right? I
Well,
mean,
I can't make you do anything,
nope,
and hopefully I can inspire you to take action to do something.
exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
difference.
Yeah, each person's got to make their own choice. My
Yeah.
job, if I'm speaking or if I'm just wanting to be an encourager of others, is just to go ahead and plant that seed, be that encouragement, and perhaps some spark of inspiration will indeed motivate that other person to take action, to make a decision, to try to improve upon their situation, rather than my spreading my negative, vile guilt and feeling sorry for myself and spreading that around. That's not going to do anybody any good.
Don't bring pity to the party, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Russ. Absolutely.
It's interesting that IT and technology and AI and we're talking about all of this data, and a lot
Hmm.
of things are coming out, with data science and really diving into what the data means. And there's volumes and volumes of information, and a lot of people don't necessarily have the inclination, interest, or time to deal with this. And so how do we go about managing all of this information? Is there any strategies that you've developed or you think about, or you know about or aware of that we
Sure.
need to think about?
Well, from a high level, if the information is there, it, people need to be made aware of its importance. Okay, if a business leader doesn't see the need, doesn't see the importance, doesn't it has not been related to how it's going to improve his or her bottom line, they're going to leave it alone. Okay.
Hmm.
As a good data steward or as a good business intelligence specialist or whatever your role happens to be in the company, is to educate that person, get them to see that they've got some skin in this game, get them to see that it will affect her bottom line. If she doesn't get up and do something about it, her business is not going to increase.
Hmm.
Um, get people to see that it is in their best interest to take action on what's going on. Paint a picture with it. Make a story out of it. Don't just present it. You see, if all you see is a spreadsheet full of rows and columns of numbers, you're going to go cross-eyed after a little while, and that's all you're going to see is just a mass of numbers, unintelligible, uninteresting, and unimportant. So, but if you're able to take those numbers, express them visually,
Yeah.
in a way that compels them, in a way that either paints a picture or tells a story, okay, then that's going to pique their interest, that they see, what is the result? How does it affect me? What action must I take in order to avoid the bad outcome? Or what action must I take to ensure the good outcome? It's one or the other. You either got to ensure the good or avoid the bad. and that's what you got to see. You're telling a story, and
Yeah.
we respond as I mean, as human beings. We ever since we were little kids, everybody loves a story, right? You got a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? You got a protagonist and an antagonist. You have a conflict that has to be resolved that ultimately does get resolved by the end of the story. That's the whole idea of the plot in
Yeah.
the story. You have a hero who's doing great, and you have the villain who is off to foil the hero in all, whatever, right? And as you weave a good storyteller knows how to weave all those elements in an exciting manner, in a passionate manner that draws in the interest of the person who's listening to the story. Well, if a data storyteller, we'll say it that way,
Yeah.
wants to achieve the same result, they're going to have to look at it in the same way and find creative ways to tell that story, to paint that picture rather than just showing up with a bunch of rows and columns. You're not going to get anywhere. Yeah.
So we have a bunch of storytelling accountants out here.
Yeah. Hey, why not? That's
Why
right. Tell a
not?
story. Yeah. Tell a story, paint a picture. Do those two things, and you will pique the interest.
Awesome. Awesome. Wendy has a story right now. She goes, I once heard about a speaker who held up an apple in front of a large audience and asked, how many orchards are in this apple? Audience members shouted out, you mixed that up. You meant how many apples are in the orchard? He shook his head and broke the apple open, revealing 5 seeds. He held that up to the audience and see, how many orchards can these 5 seeds start? We limit ourselves
Yes.
by not seeing the long-term opportunity for planting the seeds. That is education. And
Amen to that.
I would argue that inspiration and value, if you add more value to more people more often, you'll always be able to plant more seeds. So,
Absolutely. I'm just one person. If I can be, if I can be a motivator, if I can just, if all I'm going to do is just state what I know, okay,
mhm.
I've succeeded in nothing more than just inspiring myself. you know.
Yeah.
But if
Well, Sherry
as
Lawley says, what's in it for me is a great
Yeah,
motivator too.
exactly. Right, right. See what see how the other person can benefit. Not
Yeah.
what's good for me, but what's good for the other person that I'm speaking
What's
to.
the value that I can add to this
Right,
conversation?
right. What
How
value
can
can
I?
I Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and see what that does is that it once the seed is planted in all these other people, and once that passion for the information, for the knowledge, for the topic that you're talking about is ignited in each one of them, then each one of them becomes a little spark, whatever that
Yep.
will blossom as well, or a seed, if you will. I'm mixing my metaphors here, but whatever, you know. Yeah,
This is the best place to mix metaphors,
you
Joe.
got right. You got that right.
You're
Right.
in a safe zone.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, but then yeah, that's going to bring more growth. I either, as I like to say, if I give you a fish, you'll eat today. If I show you how to fish, you could eat for a lifetime, and show others how to fish. Well, unless you don't like fish. Then that metaphor messes up too. But whatever. The point is, rather than um, information, it's all about inspiration. It's all about igniting others
Yeah.
to want to do the same thing.
I absolutely appreciate that. Jorge, yes, today's connection is better. I was out yesterday and I was mobile and my cell service was terrible. So,
Oh no!
but
Can you
today,
hear me now?
great points. Howard Kaufman, the man, thank you so much. Great points on all types of input being forms of data, not just numbers. That's
Exactly.
absolutely positively true. Uh, and Howard, you always add value. So, that's a good data point to follow. I think
Yeah, I like that.
at least in my philosophy, that's a good data point
Oh,
because you know
sure,
what they say,
absolutely. What's that? They say,
miles are free.
yeah, there you go. I got it. Yeah, it was out of focus. I love it. I love it. Smiles are free. Kindness is king. Yes, that's exactly right.
So what's the next adventure? You got some speaking engagements coming up. So where's life going to take you?
Oh man, I am so looking forward to the IASA exchange in Nolens. New
Nolans.
Orleans, Nolens, yeah,
Yeah.
Nolens, Louisiana. That's going to be the end of August. I'll be talking about the popular topic, facilitating innovation in a post COVID-19 world that I talked about a minute ago. They asked me to speak on that. They actually wanted me to bring two topics, and I had to decide. So that's a pretty nice problem to have.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really excited. It's the first in-person conference since I spoke at the Convey UX conference in March of 2020 in Seattle. And that was like
Wow.
right before the pandemic hit. You know, the first two, whatever it was, the first two cases in the U.S. of
Yeah.
who were hospitalized of all places in the world, it was in Seattle, not 10 miles from where I was at that conference. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So it was perfect timing. You know, had it been like a week later or 2 weeks later, I wouldn't have been able to go.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a major bucket. What's the word I'm looking for? The bucket, not kick the
Bucket
bucket,
list.
bucket list. That's not kick the bucket. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't kick the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Don't kick
tick.
the bucket,
No,
Joe.
no, 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 sir, no, sir. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, checking off going to the West Coast. And going up on the Space Needle, you know, the major bucket list things that I got to check off. Then now the next bucket list item in getting back to in-person conferences is getting to go back to New Orleans with my wife for the first time since we had our honeymoon there. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Fantastic. I love it. Uh,
Yep.
there's so many things that we have to look forward to, and it seems like there's a real pent up demand to start getting back at in person events, making
Hmm.
connections. And here in Arizona, we're there's a lot of people still wearing masks, and
Yep.
everybody's taking precautions,
Of course.
and at the same time, there's a lot of activity going on, and so hopefully we'll be able to start meeting. The phone's ringing a little bit more for you, and the speakers are the speaking events are coming up. There's a lot of speakers that their business kind of slowed down considerably in the last 18 months. So I'm happy to see you getting some events booked and getting out there again.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. The only thing that slowed down, of course, well, not slowed down, but totally, went away was the in-person events. But virtually, I just can't believe the way things have exploded. 26 last year and 30, actually 37 as of last night. I got another invitation. 37 this year. I don't know where they're all. Yeah, who do they think I am? Russ Johns? I mean, come on, man. Where's this coming from? I'm just absolutely amazed. And I mean, a lot of people, if they're the speakers that like to be in person, and I understand that, they'll turn them down and stuff and say, no, if I go on this virtual thing, it's going to water down my. I don't think so. I think in my
Yeah,
case, by the grace of God, it's provided the opportunity to expand my brand, and people who wouldn't know me from Adam's house cat,
yeah,
would say, "Oh, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, that's who he is." And for whatever reason, they must be gluttons for punishment. They think I did a great job. Either that, or I snowed them into thinking I'm halfway decent, or whatever. I don't know. Um, but somehow, because of these, it's given me a much larger audience, a much broader platform. I mean, there's no way that I could possibly have been between last year and this year. No way I could be in 16 countries on every continent on this planet. I mean, and I'd have so much jet lag, the bags under my eyes would be even worse than they are now. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Or I'd lose my job, that I'd be constantly taking off work and being away, and I don't
yeah,
like to be away from my wife and my family
yeah.
either. So, but
So
yeah,
the
no, I
data
welcome the
shows
word
that
virtual.
there still are opportunities to go
Oh,
virtual
yes,
out
sir.
there.
That's
Yes.
right. They still are. They still are. And again, even though you miss that in person, still you can make an impact. You bring your A game, you give it everything you got, you still prepare with the same level of intensity as though you were going to talk to somebody in person. I mean, they're giving up their time. The least you could do is lay it all out there, give 120%. Pretend like each time you go on that camera will be the last time you ever talk to somebody about the thing that you love, the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that you want to communicate. Approach it with that attitude, approach it with that level of intensity and passion and knowledge for your craft and knowledge of the people that you're talking to, and with the desire to meet that need, plant that seed and not have greed, whatever. I just made that up. Then you're bound to be successful. You're bound to have people that are going to say, I'd like to hear that idiot talk again.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Joe. And
Absolutely.
I just really appreciate the opportunity to have you in the pirate community. And I look forward to, having you share this out and inspire a few more people out there in your day-to-day activities. I just really appreciate it. So.
Well, thank you so much, Russ. It was my honor to be on your show, and I do appreciate it very much. And I wish you all the best as well, sir.
Absolutely. And you know why? Because kindness is cool and smiles are free. And we want you to enjoy your day. Till next time, we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye now.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate